If we go into a recession, the first thing that's going to happen is everyone's risk tolerance goes down, which means it will be harder to take out loans or raise money if you have a subpar credit score. In this video, we'll go over the best ways you can increase your credit score that you can implement right now. You probably already know some of the factors that affect your credit score, like payment history, credit age, credit utilization, and so on. But let me explain what these rules mean, and then I'll give you the cheat codes to the game. I'll also go over some of the advanced methods that will solidify your credit for the rest of your life. Payment history has a high impact on your credit score, and the way it gets calculated is it takes all of your possible payments you can make across all of your credit cards and then compares that to how many missed or late payments you have. Let's say if you had 120 possible payments but had 3 late payments during that time, the calculation would be 120 possible payments minus 3 late payments divided by 120. Which would give you 97.5% payment history. If you had 0 late or missed payments during that time, you would have 100% payment history. What kind of person would you lend your money to? Someone who pays back most of the time, or someone who always pays back on time?
Lannister always pays his debts.
Credit utilization also has a high impact on your credit score, but unlike payment history, the closer you get to 0%, the better. If you have a balance of $100 and a credit limit of $1,000, you're using 10% of your credit, and that would be your credit utilization. On the other hand, if you had a credit limit of $100,000 like I do, then your credit utilization would be 0.001%. Now you can see how a higher credit limit can build your credit score. Another high impact factor is derogatory marks. These include bankruptcies, civil judgments, and tax liens, and as long as you don't have any of those, you should be good to go. If you do have derogatory marks, remember that it's possible to remove them if you work with a professional. Credit age has a medium impact on your score, and the way it gets calculated is by taking average age of all of your reported accounts. To get a perfect credit age, you would need an average of 9 years of credit history. If you're in your 20s like me, don't worry, there's a way to increase your credit age other than just waiting. I will talk about this later in the video. The number and types of accounts have a lower impact on your credit score, but they're still important to having a solid credit profile. Contrary to what people think, it's better to have more credit cards than having less credit cards as long as they're in good standing. Hard inquiries are interesting because sometimes they can tank your credit score, especially if you're starting out. I remember when I had a thin credit profile, each hard inquiry would drop my score by 10 to 15 points. And yes, while hard inquiries lower your credit score in the short term, they do stop affecting your credit after 6 to 12 months and drop off completely after 2 years. Now that you have a solid understanding of your credit report, we can increase your credit score by taking advantage of the factors we just talked about. The first and easiest thing you can do is pay off your credit cards in full before the statement date. This will have a high impact on your credit score by bringing your utilization down to 0%. Just keep in mind that once you paid off your credit cards, it may take a billing cycle to reflect on your credit report. Another quick way to increase your credit score is with Experian Boost. With this, you can self-report your utilities and add good payment history, which will have a high impact, especially if you're starting out. Now, the next 3 steps are a bit more advanced, so pay close attention. The best way for most people to raise their credit score is by inheriting somebody else's credit history. Let me explain. Let's say that someone you know, doesn't have to be family, has had a credit card open for 10 years. And let's say that this person is really responsible and they haven't missed a single payment on that card. You can ask that person to add you to that credit card as an authorized user. And depending on the issuer, all the 10 years of positive credit history that they worked really hard to build will be reported to you. But before you ask, you need to make sure of a few things. First, find out if that specific bank will report all credit history to all 3 credit bureaus. From my experience, I know that this works with Bank of America and Citibank. It does not work with Chase and American Express because Chase reports full history to only 1 credit bureau, and Amex does not report previous history at all. Second, make sure that the card you're being added to has almost perfect payment history, low credit utilization, and preferably high credit limit. It can hurt your credit score if the card is not in good standing. Third, make sure that your social security is used to add you to the card. That way it can actually report to your credit profile. Once you're added, a new account will start reporting and you will inherit the credit age, payment history, credit utilization, and the credit limit of that card, which will dramatically increase your credit score. Authorized user accounts are a great way to build your credit score. But if you have only credit card accounts reporting, then your credit profile is one-dimensional. To add more depth, you can open other types of accounts like car loans, mortgages, and personal loans. This is not an excuse to go and finance a plaid Tesla Model X with an enhanced autopilot and full self-driving capability. There is another way. If you don't already have a loan, you can open a secured personal loan. And just like secured credit cards, you're going to deposit money equivalent to what you're going to borrow. For example, I opened a 60-month secured loan with Navy Federal for $3,000. I deposited $3,000 for the bank to hold as security, and they gave me a personal loan of $3,000. With the money I deposited, I was able to pay off 90% of the loan right away so that the loan reports as mostly paid off on my credit report. So now I have a 5-year loan that's mostly paid off reporting to me, which diversifies my account, which in turn raised my credit score from 720s to 760s almost instantly. That's a 40-point difference. But before you open a secured loan, you need to make sure of a few things. First, you need to make sure that you're able to pay off your loan entirely at any time before the maturation date. Second, make sure that if you were to pay off most of the loan term stays the same. A 60-month loan stays as a 60-month loan. Sometimes if you pay off more than the due amount, the bank can shorten your loan term and keep the same minimum payment for each month. What you want to do is pay off most of your loan and have your due date get pushed back into the future. And then you can set an auto payment for $1 a month just to show some activity. If you're really desperate, you can remove hard increase to increase your credit score. This one is a bit unethical, so this is for informational purposes only. I would recommend this for someone who has multiple hard inquiries that did not result in an open account. First, identify the inquiries that did not result in an open account. Second, call the credit bureau. And third, explain that you suspect your information is being used in a fraudulent manner to open credit cards. And list all the inquiries that you want to remove that did not result in an open account. Do with that information what you will. If you got any value out of this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be posting more videos like this about credit, finance, and personal finance. And if you have any questions or have anything to add to what I said, please comment down below. And see you in the next video.